Hey folks, Sean here, and in this episode I want to talk to you about why it's so important to be measuring conversions for your B2B SaaS products. Now, for those of us listening to this episode in the audio version on my podcast, there's also an associated YouTube video where you can see some of these visuals that I'm referencing. I'll link to that in the show notes. Now, what I have pulled up in front of you, this is my conversions dashboard in my Google Ads account, which is the primary channel I'm using to grow two of my B2B SaaS products that I'll be talking about today. That's my podcast show notes tool, which is a tool that automatically creates podcast show notes from an episode, as well as my Shorts Maker tool that creates short form video content from long form video content. And I want to talk to you today specifically about conversions. Now, what conversions are, it's a way for Google Ads to keep track of what type of output or outcome you're really looking for from your Google Ads account in terms of what is it that you are trying to achieve? What do you want people to do as you're sending that traffic to a particular destination? In this case, I'm sending traffic for both of these products to my landing page or my home page. And what I'm looking for in the form of conversions is people to sign up for a free trial and then ultimately pay for using the product. Now, the real goal is that second one. But the first one's important because that's a step along the way, right? I've designed a free trial into the product experience. I want them to use the product, get value out of the product, realize they want to keep the product, sign up and start paying for the product. So Google Ads gives you the ability to be able to track these if you add a pixel or a little bit of code to your landing pages, your web pages, or wherever this needs to be measured. Now, you need to create these in the conversions section in Google Ads, and it's not super straightforward. I can walk you through the process. It's really not that bad, but you need to test it to make sure that it's working. And the dashboard that I've pulled up for you here, and for those of us listening just audio only, I'll articulate what you're seeing here, and that's two different categories. I want to measure both the first step in the process, which is, are people signing up for a free trial? And then I want to measure the second step of the process, which is I'm really interested in, is are people paying for access to the product? Now, in this case, and I've been talking about this in recent episodes, one of my products is performing here and one of them is not. And that's why I'm talking about this being so important, so that you can know this too, and you can measure the effectiveness and the efficiency of your campaigns. Plus, the added advantage here is if you set this up, Google Ads is going to take this as input, as in they know in a programmatic way what it is you're trying to actually accomplish, and they're going to further optimize your campaign based on trying to deliver more of these outcomes. So that's a really important element here as well too. If you don't have conversion set up, you're going to miss out on that value. And that's a really valuable element of making sure these campaigns are being optimized on your behalf in an automated way. That's a really nice feature. So make sure to set these up when you can. Now, what we're seeing for my campaign is a problem that I've been speaking to. One of my products is converting, one of them is not. And when I say converting, I mean to paid customer. I'm getting plenty of signups for both products in terms of prospects landing on my website from my ad campaign and signing up for a free trial. And you can see that in the one section here. I've got that designed and categorized separately under the sign up section. And in the visual that I'm showing you, you can see that it's not just active, but it's converting. You can see the conversions. You can also associate a value with the conversion as well too. That's what that other category is. But right now it's 1-to-1. So you can see how many conversions I've got: 8 for the one product and 7 for the other. And that's just the past 7 days. So I'm getting a sign up apparently on a daily basis at the moment. I think I'm getting more, so I'm going to double check that data. But regardless, I know that it's counting them. I can confirm that with the actual numbers that I'm seeing where I'm measuring them separately. I've got them coming into my Slack account as well too. So that's the first thing. Second thing is the other category that I have in here, which I'm listing as subscribe, and that's for paid conversions. Now, for the two that I have set up, I've got one for each product. One is active and has a conversion, which is accurate. I did add a paying customer this week, at least one. And again, I'm going to double check these numbers. The second is inactive. The reason why it says inactive, number one, nobody signed up or paid. That's true. And number two, in order for it to be functioning, someone needs to go through it at least once. So that's one thing that you'll see if you're setting up your conversions in your Google Ads account. When you first set it up, it's going to say inactive until somebody actually goes through it and hits that page. Until then, it'll actually be reported as inactive. So that's not necessarily a problem, but it should convert to active once it starts happening. So you're going to need to keep track of what's actually going on. And then once it starts happening, make sure that the campaign conversion setup is actually measuring that and measuring that correctly. So that's important to note. When you're setting up your steps, you're going to need to know which steps you want to measure. These are the two that matter most for me. These are more than likely two that are going to matter for you as well too. So you're going to want to set up separate conversion steps for each for your product. One for the free trial sign up and one for the paid conversion sign up. Then over time, you're going to be able to measure and monitor how effectively your product and your campaign is performing in terms of whether or not those things are converting. Now, I've already talked about the fact that one of my products is growing and is making it through these milestones. So it's really an effort of focusing on where are those percentages, how effectively is that converting, and what can I do to optimize it. That'll be another piece of content that I produce. I'm working on that. And the other is figuring out why the second one is not. My Shorts Maker tool is doing a great job of getting people to sign up, but it is not converting paying customers. That's the problem. So I've set up a number of things to collect some feedback from the users in terms of why that's happening. I'm starting to get some of that feedback, and there are changes that I'm going to make based on that. But the point of this lesson in this episode is that if you don't have the conversion set up, you may not have the data to really prove the fact that that's what's actually going on. Now, in this case, I know, obviously, because I'm watching closely, but it's really good to have this data, and it's even better if you can compare it to other products. So I'm intending to continue to do that for you so that you can compare the performance of your products versus mine. And I'm really looking forward to you having this data as well too, so that you can see it for yourself to make sure that you have the data to make data-driven decision making whenever it is you're trying to make improvements to your product. And I'm going to talk more about that as well too in terms of how, when, and how frequently to be looking at making some of these changes. But that's what I have for you today.